Podcasting 2.0 for March 18th, 2022, episode 78. It's Go-Go with Gigi. See, when we have a guest that's so big and put him in the title of the show, got to say something. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Podcasting 2.0, the official board meeting of everything that's going on with Podcasting 2.0, specifically the podcast namespace, podcastindex.org, and, of course, where we all hang out at podcastindex.social. I'm Adam Curry here in the heart of the Texas Hill Country, and in Alabama, he's always game for a submarine swap. My friend on the other end, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Dave Jones.
Oh, I like that one.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it. I like the... You got the still got the Rona vocal cord, so you get the.
I'm trying. I got the fry. I got a little fry happening.
Yeah, every now and then you go to. You get a little rumble going.
Well, I also have the new.
Yeah, that was it right there.
I know. It's really messed up because and everyone's sending me all these. Well, you've got to take the left nut of a honeybee and squish it out and add it to all this stuff that has to be done. It's like, no,
you go first. You go first.
Right.
I'm not trying that.
Everyone's been really, really helpful, but it's I don't know. It's
honeybee nuts. Fun fact: very, very difficult to get to. Very difficult.
Very hard to see. Very difficult to get to.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. How you doing, Dave?
I'm good. Let me just say that the pro tip, the Sharpie S Gel, what is this? Sharpie S Gel 0.7, 0.7 pen. This is top-notch hardware. Let me tell you.
Oh, really? I will say I'm a pen aficionado, so it's the Sharpie
S-Gel
S
0.7.
0.7. Yeah, I'm using a Uniball Signo RT, also a 0.7. So I am a 0.7 kind of girl.
That's right.
I enjoy that. I enjoy the 0.
They all do. That's what they all say.
Always game for a good pen, for sure. But you're hectic, right? This is the worst time for you because of your day job where you got stuff happening because of tax time.
Yeah, I'm in the tax industry.
Yeah, Dave works for the IRS, I think. Yes, yeah.
Oh God, no. Yeah, that's a different show. No, I'm good. I'm good. It was a little hectic getting out of the office to come do the show, but I'm all right right now.
I want to start by thanking Daniel J. Lewis for taking a very courageous step and a stab at creating a new website for podcastindex.org. I could not be more delighted.
Can we say that it's courageous, not because of the technical difficulty, but because of all the potential input that he's not going to like?
Yeah. No, not just that. I mean, just to go ahead and do it. And, just to do, well, yes, for all those reasons. Now, he had promised it, and I actually had screenshot. I remember some thread a while back, several months ago, and he's like, we need this, we need that. I said, well, why don't you do it?
And he did it.
And I screenshot that. I'm like, let's see because I can always go back, and if someone bitches about this, say, hey, man, you said you would do it. And I never need to pull it out because he did it. And intuitively, he did all the right things, I think, with the 3 sections. I mean, there's things that I'll have input on, but this is my problem is how do I actually see what the website will look like? It's like, and I can figure out where to make changes in code. I guess I could figure that out. Or suggestions or whatever. It's just, I can't really see the whole thing rendered. I want to see where all the links go to, all of that stuff.
It depends. I don't want to just do something for you that you would rather do yourself. So, I mean, if you'd rather do it yourself, I can show you how to set up the dev environment. It's not super hard.
What is the easiest thing for me? Because basically, I just need to see this thing so that I can say, okay, on this page, here's a suggestion or here's a change. If I can then switch to something and find that copy in a clone and then make that and then see that rendered? Is that how that would work? Do I have to have React or whatever?
Yeah. So what you would do is you would do a get clone down to to them directly on your machine.
How about this, Dave Jones? How about this?
Yeah. Yes.
When you have some time. All right, I'm here all week, everybody. Good night. If you teach me how to fish, I'll eat for life. So I'm willing to learn. I don't think it should be that hard. I mean, I've done Gits before, Git clone.
Mm-hmm.
I just need to know how to set it up. So if or maybe someone else can help me set it up. And why is there no one in the chat room? What is going on here?
Well, I'm currently typing out the we're live now show episode. Let's see. Showtime.
Well, of course, we had we said we would start at 12:30. That's what I just put in there. Yeah, I put it in there. Like, I didn't know that. Oh, here we go. Oh, no, I'm back. I think maybe something was wrong with my IRC client. There we go. All right. Now let me open up Helipad so we can get live Boostagrams, which is the whole point of the exercise.
Well, this is the most discombobulated start to a show that we've had in a while.
But anyway, back to the website. Just a couple of things I wanted to mention. Okay. And I already told Daniel, said I'm gonna talk to you about this. In general, the language, instead of we're doing this, we're making podcasting better, I prefer we made podcasting better.
I like that.
Because we did. It stopped making it sound like a project. We're a thing.
It's not a process. It's done.
Yeah. Well, it's an ongoing process, but yeah, it's done. We made podcasting better. Here's what it means to you. And the things I'm missing is backwards compatible with 1.0. That's just an explanatory thing. And value for value streaming payments needs to be prominently featured. And I have ideas about that, which I can work with Daniel on, because people are coming for that. So they're coming for a whole bunch of things, but now it's hidden. Now it's just a line item under chapters, and it's much bigger than just a line item under chapters. Those are the main things. Otherwise, I think he's on a dynamite path.
Same.
Yeah, I really do. I really do.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure. Did we talk about that? Because he seemed to pick up on the three angles bit.
We must have discussed it a long time ago on the show, I'm thinking. If not,
it's naturally
it's natural.
What we talked about.
Yeah, and it's exactly natural. And what I would like is, so what did he have as the slogan? We're making podcasting better. So I'd like everyone to take a stab at a snappy thing, a snappy slogan. Everybody can try it out. Mm-hmm. So my initial feeling is not only that, but everything should be, we've made podcasting better. Here's it's here. This is it. Just the whole vibe has to be, we've done it. Welcome. We're glad you finally showed up. Where have you been?
We've made podcasting better, and you can too.
Okay, Dave. Yeah. I'll do the marketing.
Okay, maybe not. You and Daniel work together on this,
again, I just want to say how incredibly grateful I am that Daniel picked that up and just did it. And I know he worked for a couple days on it. That's some real work there.
That I love that aspect of open source. We had a good dev meeting this week.
Yeah. Oh yes. Do tell.
Yeah. No. We talked about a lot of stuff. Mostly around the social interact tag. And
is this where you all decided that we were going to use Boostagram as comments instead?
No. Well, I mean, no.
I'm being facetious, Dave, for a reason.
Oh, okay. Well, we basically just had to tighten up the spec, because the spec has sort of been. Well, I mean, the spec as written was written back in August of 21. Mm-hmm. Is that? Yeah, it was a long time ago. And it really has just been sort of like tweaked a little bit here and there to fit what's been happening, the trajectory. But it hasn't it just really needs to be rewritten from scratch. Not that it's going to be changed demonstrably, but, or very much. But we just, as a group, just decided, okay, what's important here? What can we drop? How do we bring it up to speed with what's happening right now? And then so we're going to drop platform out of there. We're going to drop a whole bunch of this huge list of supported platforms. I mean, there's a list of like 20 things in there. We're going to drop all that kind of jazz out and just focus on trying to formalize social interact as a thing first, and then focus on the protocols that are in use: ActivityPub, Lightning, and Twitter. And so, because those are the things that are currently actively being used, so let's just take what's actively being used, work on getting a formal, definition that works for those three things. And those three things are different enough to where, if anything else comes along, if those three things can fit without too much modification, then probably anything else can too. But we're not going to muddy the water, just the same way we did with the value for value spec, where we made it broad enough to where you could fit in anything. But for now, we're just going to focus on Lightning because, we can't solve all the world's issues for every little niche use case.
Now, when you say solve it for Lightning, what does that mean?
Well, I mean that in reference to the value block.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Because, let me get this off my chest.
You were grumpy last week, by the way.
Last week?
Yeah, last show with John.
Oh, well,
you were grumpy about comments.
I'm still grumpy about comments, and I'll tell you why.
Cool.
So I have now heard James Cridland twice, and quite an extended segment on Podland, talk about activity. I'm paraphrasing, but here's what he's saying in 25 minutes. ActivityPub is too complicated. I couldn't figure it out. I really love what Fountain is doing. Let's just use Boostagrams for comments. And apparently Fountain has implemented this. I'm not sure. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, they have.
Okay. I take his issue with this for a couple of reasons. One, it's very rude to just say, hey, we're doing it this way when people have been working for a year and a half on creating this system. Now, that's neither here nor there, but it brings into play things that we've discussed many times, and I thought we had some consensus on, which is paying for comments is kind of uncool, particularly if it's being sold as, hey, you'll make some extra money with this, which brings me to two other points. One, well, the technical one we'll get to in a second. My personal belief is you have now hijacked something that can actually make people money and turn it into a cheap whore for comments. And it's a bad idea because value for value is something very specific, and very few people have actually tried to do the value for value pitch with their audience. And it works quite fine here. People are boosting hundreds of thousands of sats to us. But now you've cheapened it down to, it's really just a mechanism to post something, and you can do 10 sats or 5 sats, and you're kind of wrecking the whole idea. Then there's the technical argument, which we'll have our guest comment on, as we have a guest in the boardroom today. And that is a part technical because jamming stuff into TLV records is actually a hack, and everybody knows it. Two, and I am in the Roy from Breeze camp on this, that let's just leave Lightning a payment network, and let's not replace things like a Web 3.0 type deal, because you're going to bloat stuff. And I just think it's cleaner to leave Lightning as a payment network that you can integrate into everything. And then it's not really decentralized. So as a whole, for your comment, you can't moderate your comment anymore. There's a whole bunch of things that we discussed ad nauseum going through the spec for ActivityPub that just got thrown out, and then Fountain implemented this, and Cridland's promoting it like a fork. And it made me grumpy. It made me grumpy.
I've got thoughts on that.
Yeah, please.
My thoughts are, it doesn't bother me for a couple of reasons. Number one, I don't think it's really competitive with ActivityPub comments at all, because ActivityPub is just the language that is the language of a chat system or a messaging system that already has wide, extensive reach. So, and ActivityPub is still going to be the focus for what most of commenting across cross-app comments do. I think the Lightning side of things, I'm accepting of it for this reason. I think it's going to be limited enough that what you're going to see. Let me try to explain it this way. Let me come at it from a different angle. We know that when it comes to message quality, and that's subjective, I understand that, but I think there are some general things we can all agree on about what is spam, what's a high quality message, what's not. When it comes to message quality, there's sort of layers. I mean, you have the sort of bargain basement, which is email, sends out trillions of spam messages a day. It's cheap, it's easy, and it's just a lot of it's garbage. You have Reddit threads, which again, it's a low friction entry point. It's garbage, or a lot of it is. And you sort of kind of go up the chain from there. And if you go up to ActivityPub, now you're talking about there's some technical prowess that has to enter into the picture in order to join the Fediverse or whatever you want to call it. Then as you kind of go up the chain, then you could say that Lightning currently at least is sort of at the top of that chain for message quality, because it requires a lot of technical entry, a lot of technical expertise to get into it. And so I think they stand at different layers in the pile there, and ActivityPub is always going to be the broader thing. Lightning is a thing that I'm okay with existing for Lightning comments, as long as everybody understands that there are big drawbacks. And I think everybody, after the dev meeting, I think everybody understands what those drawbacks are. So Alex entered into the conversation and said, made this exact point. He said, hey, it's important that everybody remembers there's some big issues here. It's not necessarily that you have to pay, although that is, that is a thing, but also there are problems with TLVs, exactly like you just said. Mm-hmm. It's not unlimited in size. It's got a cost to the network. There's also the problem with authentication and identity verification. You don't know who sent you this message, and you can't verify it currently. So that's something that's going to have to be worked on. And actually, offline, Alex and I were throwing around some ideas on how to solve that problem this past week. Okay, so I missed an entire dev meeting where this did come up. Yes, it definitely did come up. And so I think that it's good that I think James is complaining about the complexity of ActivityPub. Yes, he is. A little bit late in the game, because yeah. He's not even using ThreadCap yet, which is John Spurlock's way of also making it easy. I wanted to say one thing, because here's what I appreciate about this whole situation. We have users who are using something, and if anything, we're bad at listening to users, and those users can be users who use apps and enjoy podcasts, or podcasters. So when I see this, I'm very cognizant that, hey, here's a user doing something on his or her own accord. We need to pay attention to that. Mm-hmm. So while I don't like it, I feel it's very important that we discuss it. So I'm glad that this came up, and I guess there's some kind of consensus. Oh, we are getting Boostagrams, by the way, but only from Breeze. I think I've asked Tim to take a look, but I think that the LNPay stuff just locks up when too many people are trying to send. I don't know. I'll give it a shot.
Yeah, I have nothing from LN Pay. Anyway, from the technical side, I can tell you that there's going to be a lot of jihad about doing this in TLVs, but we already have that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, we broke that we broke that brain a long time ago. The thing about Lightning comments is people just have to understand that that's never. No, let me take away the word never. That is a much harder barrier to entry over ActivityPub, and for that one reason alone, it's not going to be as widely popular. Like it's just too difficult. So let's just pick RSS.com. If they want to support cross-app commenting root posts for all their podcasters out of the box, there's no way they're going to do it through Lightning.
No,
they can't. And so the ActivityPub is the way to go for that. Now, if James if he starts using ThreadCap, John Spurlock's latest thing, it obfuscates all of this.
Uh-huh.
You just basically point it at a social interact tag URL, and it literally just sucks the entire thing out. It doesn't matter if it's in Twitter or Lightning comments or ActivityPub or any of that stuff. Like, it's dead simple.
Why don't we bring in our guest, since we've been yapping together for 20 minutes, quite rudely?
No, we have a guest.
Yeah, we do have a guest from an undisclosed location, ladies and gentlemen. No one knows what he looks like, but he is famous everywhere on the interwebs. Please welcome the one and only Gigi.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Dude, a little more enthusiasm. It's like we're all hyped up. You're like, hey guys, what is it? You're the Masked Singer here? Come on, man.
It's a little disconcerting sitting across the boardroom table from
right
from wearing that mask.
Yeah, it's very hot in the suit, so it's very hard to be enthusiastic.
The green suit, yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Gigi, you are a legend on the internet. Certainly well known for your writing, well known for your Bitcoin maximalism. How would you describe yourself to introduce yourself to the uninitiated?
Yeah, I'm probably best described as a Bitcoiner. That's how I would classify myself. I don't necessarily agree with the, toxic maximalist label and so on. It's something that was adopted by Bitcoiners over time, but it started from the shitcoiner crowd. It was used as an insult almost. But anyway, I would like to kind of say one or two things about the comment issues and so on.
Yes, please.
Because I agree with a lot of what you said there, Dave, but it's obvious that those kind of systems always run into the same issues. And two of the things you already mentioned, it's do you want to have spam protection? And if you have spam protection, how do you do this? And there are two ways to solve this problem, kind of. One of them is make people pay for it so that you get rid of the spam farms and millions of comments, because it will just, it's an economic problem almost. It's like, what is your return on investment with the spam? And if with every comment, if it costs a fraction of a penny, then, you might kill all the spam farms and the spam bots and the bot armies immediately. And it's also related to identity, as you mentioned, you want to have a system that is resistant to Sybil attacks. You don't want to have what Adam just mentioned, you want to have some moderation, maybe, it depends on how you want to play this. And if you have moderation, it's no use to, delete a comment by someone or disable an account, and it's very, very easy to spin up a million new accounts. That's. I think that the nature of these systems is such that you always run into these problems, and so I think the comment I wanted to make is that you mentioned that the barrier to entry to use Lightning comments is very high, and I kind of agree, but the alternative is to have an account somewhere, have some system that is permissioned, and you create an account, and then you have an identity, and then you can use the comment system, and Lightning kind of solves this in a roundabout way, so to speak, where your identity is tied to your Lightning wallet and you pay for the comment, which is kind of one kind of spam protection. So I'm just trying to say, like it's trade-offs all the way down. I don't think there is a one size fits all solution.
Yeah, I think that the barrier to entry thing is going to lessen over time, but I am skeptical that because you hear this a lot. You hear that, or not a lot maybe, but you hear that if you have to pay for comments, that you get a higher quality, and I agree with that from a spam farm perspective, where you have just massive amounts of Viagra spam going out into the world. But there's another layer of sort of low quality commenting that doesn't really get dealt with when it comes to that, and that's just sort of troll type comments. Mm-hmm. Because if a comment only costs you 1 sat, it's really not a barrier. That's not a financial barrier.
The way Sphinx Chat does it, which I was always enamored by, is they had a staking system. Mm-hmm. So it would be like you would, for each comment, you would stake 100 sats. And after several hours, that 100 sats would come back. If you turned out to be a spammer, then you would lose it.
Yeah, that's an interesting. I like that.
That was a little different than just paying for something. That's a small amount.
Well, that when it comes to this, the challenge we've had the last really few weeks, and this is another barrier to entry, is, and it's a little bit off topic, but is getting people up and running with Lightning. I mean, because what we want, obviously, all of us want is people to have their own keys.
Yeah.
We want non-custodial. We want people to have their own keys. The good solution for that is something like an Umbrel, but lately that has been a real challenge. The Tor network is not holding up its end of the bargain on this whole thing. It is these Tor channels are falling down. They're unreliable. Like it's taking days and days just to get somebody with an Umbrel up and running where they can receive payments.
I wonder if this is. It seems like, and Gigi, maybe you have some view on this, but it seems like channel opens, they're either good or you're going to wait, and you may have to wait a long time, and then the graph doesn't get updated. Something's failing somewhere, and it may be LND related. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know either.
Yeah, I think we have to differentiate. I'm sorry, I think I might have a little bit of a lag, but I think we have to differentiate between multiple things, because as you point out, we want users to hold their own keys, which means that they have non-custodial access to the funds, because as we can observe what's currently happening in the world, everyone is getting deplatformed, users, companies, whole countries.
Countries, baby, whole countries.
Being deplatformed in a monetary, yeah, there you go. And being deplatformed in a monetary sense is like an existential threat. And we obviously want to move away from that. And I think all of that is related, if you want to be censorship resistant, it means that you kind of have to adopt the responsibility of doing it yourself. And withholding your keys, that's kind of easy, like you write down 12 words in the Bitcoin world and that's it. With running your own node, it's already a bit more of a hassle. And this is where Umbrel comes in. Umbrel makes this way, way, way easier than it was before. And other full node solutions like Raspberry Blitz and others exist as well. So I think we're on a good path there of making this easier for people to kind of host their own critical infrastructure. But the problem currently with Lightning is that managing channels and managing liquidity is a big challenge still, because Lightning is so young, and we as a technical community, we still have to figure out how to do this properly. And again, it's not only about solving technical problems, these are also economic problems, and this is why currently Lightning service providers and those kind of service-based solutions are popping up, where just like with internet service providers, you don't have to take care about a lot of the nitty-gritty technical details, but you can just use someone else's service to to access Lightning, so to speak, or to access liquidity. But this again, like it all, it always comes down to the same issue. Once you rely on an external service, you have a trusted third party that can interfere with the things you want to do.
Yeah, I think so. Let me sort of go sideways here for a second. The idea you brought up, sort of toxic Bitcoin maximalism, and I want to talk about that idea for a while, but I kind of want to start in a specific way. There is something that we've been thinking and talking about, and I say I'm talking about me and Alex. We've kind of been going back and forth on this on text message and stuff. Is there's this notion of clearly Bitcoin is in the lead, so to speak. Like it's the only the way I see it, and the way I think many people see it within halls of power, even, is that it is the digital currency, or the digital crypto coin, so to speak, that most closely resembles money. You look at other things like Ethereum and other blockchain-based, coins, shitcoins, altcoins, whatever you want to call them. You look at those things and they have function, they have utility. They may be good at distributed apps, they may be good at DAO, they may be good at things, but they don't have the properties that we closely associate with what a money is. And so for that standpoint, Bitcoin is clearly in the lead when it comes to a possible accepted digital currency. And I think we all hope that it gets to that point. But then in order to get there, there's some things that seem to have to happen. And those are the things that give you a little bit of unease. Like I expressed it to Alex last night. I said, well, I often have this sort of Darwin's dilemma where I think in the back of my mind, this is fantastic that we're going to get this, it looks like a real possibility that we could get and accept Bitcoin accepted in the halls of government around the world as valid programmable money. But then at the same time, I think back and I'm like, well, in order to get there, are we going to have to do things like Wasabi Wallet is having to do right now, which is distance itself, start filtering UTXOs, distancing itself from anything that looks like criminal activity. And in the process, what we've done is we've unwittingly ushered in the era of the cashless society and the currency surveillance state. Like, do you have any thoughts on that?
I have a lot of thoughts on that.
Go for it. Because the wasabi thing freaked a lot of people out. It really did.
Okay, I don't know. I don't know what those. I understand what unspent UTXOs are, but what exactly was wasabi doing? Because I missed that.
You go for it. Yeah, you talk about it.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. I just for the record, here I am. I thought we were going to talk about the freedom of value and value for value and all of the jazz, but I'm game to talk about Bitcoin maximalism and CoinJoin, Wasabi stuff and so on. It's okay. Let me start out with saying that all of it is very kind of complicated because Bitcoin and especially Bitcoin privacy is complicated. So, all right. Bitcoin, as everyone should know, is nothing but a public ledger, it's a list of transactions and everyone can look at them and verify them. This is also why Bitcoin is so important, because it's so transparent and it all kind of relates to each other. It's like this Gordian knot of multiple things. And also the verification part and the fact that you can run a Bitcoin node, it all is required to have this fixed limit of 21 million. And I think, I know I will go now on a long tangent, but I think all of this is very important. So the idea of Bitcoin is to separate money from state. And Dave, you just mentioned that Bitcoin, it's great that, Bitcoin might get government acceptance and so on. The point is Bitcoin doesn't need government acceptance. Bitcoin works whether it is accepted by governments or not. You can use Bitcoin right now. And so essentially Bitcoin is gray market, black market money. If Bitcoin doesn't work on the black market, Bitcoin doesn't work at all. That's the whole idea. The problem with Bitcoin privacy is that it's a completely transparent ledger. So if your activity on the Bitcoin network can be related to your real identity, then you can also be tracked. There are ways to circumvent this. You can think about it a little bit like encryption, even though like the analogy breaks down really quickly. But it's like if you enter into an encrypted communication with someone, even though other people can see that these encrypted messages are sent back and forth, they cannot read them. You know, like it's not
but they can still follow the trail, which is exactly what NSA does. Just follow who's connected to who.
Right.
That is true. Like you can still have some access to metadata and so on. Like all of that is true. But in Bitcoin, it's like you can make use of a certain technique, which is usually called coin joins. I like to refer to them as collaborative transactions because that's what they are. So you come together. Usually when you do a Bitcoin transaction, and now we're going to get technical, all your inputs are controlled by the same party. So Bitcoin has this UTXO system. Again, it comes back to validation and verification. So the whole Bitcoin network, since the first block, since block 0, since the Genesis block, you can analyze, and it's basically this big tree, you know, like it's like a big tree structure, and every single Bitcoin transaction creates like a new branch. And we call the leaves of these branches UTXOs, short for unspent transaction output. So it is basically the money in your pocket, the money that you have not spent yet. And the Bitcoin leaves a trail of all the spendings, so you can see where the money went. And this is terribly important because you have to make sure that there are not more than 21 million Bitcoins in existence. You know, like this, all of it hangs together. So this is the root of the problem, kind of. All right. So what do you do in this transparent system? You come together and you create a collaborative transaction. And this, you can basically, and okay, take this analogy with a large grain of salt, but it's basically, let's say you all have a $1 bill, and let's say magically you can trace these $1 bills, and so you all come together and you throw the $1 bills into a big pot, and everyone knows that I threw a $1 bill in, and you take out another $1 bill. That's basically a coin join. So you all come together and you smelt the UTXOs together, and you get the same back, more or less, minus a fee, and then your past, the past of your Bitcoin is cleared. It's very much like cleaning your browser history, basically, like if you want to think about it in a really stupid way. All right. So Wasabi and another big implementation is Samurai. What they offer is like a coordination service. So they're not a money transmitter, because creating a coin join is not an economic problem. It's like a coordination problem. You have to bring people together that want to do this and want to create these collaborative transactions.
It's like it's like coordinating a ring of fire in Lightning.
Pretty much.
Bad, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's why Lightning Network Plus, or whatever it's called, sites like this exist, where you can announce that you want to create a ring of fire, and it should have 5 participants, and these are the conditions, and so on, and everyone signs up and says, yeah, I want to participate, and once everyone is together, you can do it, and that's it. And like we had legal precedents of those kind of issues. It's very much like the Pirate Bay is not a file host, you know, like it's right. Just linking to other things. And this is relevant because Wasabi and Samurai are centralized coordinators. So they are coordinating coin join rounds, but they're not touching any money ever. And currently, especially in the European Union and in other countries as well, but there are regulations being worked out that want to kind of classify all kinds of things as money transmitters, and want to impose draconian
There's your problem.
KYC and AML laws on those kind of services. You know, it's like you to pick another example, you can do coin join coordination on an IRC server. You know, like you can automate this, and you just post messages to an IRC server, and it's the same thing. And so what governments want to do is like outlaw these kind of messages and outlaw these kind of coordinations. And Wasabi preemptively said, okay, like this regulation is coming, it's inevitable, and thus we're going to start working with chain surveillance companies, and we're going to in the end censor transactions and so on. And I think this is terrible, and it sets a terrible precedent. And again, talking of precedents, we had this before. It was with LavaBit and Edward Snowden, right. LavaBit just offered email services that are encrypted, and the government came knocking, and LavaBit did, I think, the ethical correct thing.
Yeah, they shut down. Yeah, they shut down.
And deleted all the records. And in my opinion, Wasabi should have done the same. But we should also differentiate between Wasabi, the company, and Wasabi, the implementation, because Wasabi is open source software, and you can spin up your own coordination service and your own coordinator, and set the coordinator of your Wasabi service to something else, and then everything just works again, so to speak. It's very much like, you can just hop to a different IRC server and you're still good to go. But it's this is the whole Wasabi story, and it's like, I don't know how deep we want to go into this. I think privacy and fungibility is.
Yeah, we don't have to go too deep. I really just wanted to kind of sit like that. That's a good explanation for everybody, because I think that something came to a head in my mind about this whole thing when I was thinking about it. There's sort of what Bitcoin maximalism really is, and whether or not it's prepared to have this discussion of, because there's Bitcoin maximalists out there, quote unquote, that are that do their whole goal is not to get government acceptance of Bitcoin as currency. And then there's the same people claiming to be Bitcoin maximalists who that is what they passionately care about. And those two things don't seem to mix to me.
Well, let me put it like this. Okay. I think we all agree the internet is a good thing, and the free exchange of information is a good thing, right?
Yeah.
So what this is about is, like, the internet works whether governments want it to work or not, okay? Like, you can build an internet for yourself. You take two computers and you network them together, and if it gets big enough, you basically have an internet, right? Like, that's the whole idea, is to have one network on standard protocols that just work together. It's like a language, and when two people meet and speak the same language, that's where the English language is, With the internet and TCP/IP and all these protocols that you, Dave, know very, very well, if multiple computers come together, then this thing is being brought into existence, And the thing is, do we want to convince governments that this is a good thing? And do we want to kind of, do we want to outlaw this? Or do we want to accept this for what it is and build useful tools for people? And with Bitcoin, it's exactly the same thing, Like, do we want to outlaw Bitcoin and push it underground? Bitcoin doesn't care. It will still work. Bitcoin is dark market money, always has been, it will always work, just like the internet, like it is built upon principles that are just kind of eternal principles, like you cannot shut down Bitcoin. That's the whole point. But I don't think it's healthy for a society to make Bitcoin illegal, because in the end, there are a lot of people that don't have access to finances. And also, like, the big problem that we currently have is that money is not separate from the state, and the state willy-nilly expands the monetary supply and so on. All of these are kind of separate issues, and Bitcoin kind of solves them all at once. And that's, I think, why Bitcoin is so terribly important. But I think, cheering on El Salvador, for example, for accepting Bitcoin as legal tender is kind of, you can think about it what you want. I think, I think it's good to see that some governments, at least, see this for what it is, which is freedom money. And they are like, okay, we don't want to push it underground. We don't want to make it illegal. So let's build something around it, like it's just like the internet, like you have new business models, new things that you can build on top that are very valuable for a society. And that's my position, at least, on this.
So you could say that it's, that it really depends on the situation, because if you could say El Salvador, I can feel two different ways about it. I can say when I see El Salvador accept Bitcoin as currency, as a legal tender, then I can say, well, that feels good to me, because the El Salvadorian people are dealing with an oppressive monetary situation, and this gives them some measure of relief from that. But then I can also look at something like the US or the EU, and I can see them making sort of nods to Bitcoin as potential money in the future, and that can also freak me out at the same time and say, well, what am I going to have to give up in order to make that happen?
How do you mean that? I'm not sure I understand what term, like what giving up?
Like, in order to get there, are we going to have to start doing things like Wasabi is doing, filtering UTXOs, adhering to draconian, regulations that get, in order, it's like, okay, here's the pathway to accepting, Bitcoin as digital currency within the U.S. the pathway could look like all of these oppressive steps. And do we really want to get there or not?
That's not going to be Bitcoin. That's going to be something else. And I think that's the important part that is to be understood in Bitcoin. And you kind of halfway asked a question before, like what is Bitcoin maximalism, or you defined Bitcoin maximalism for yourself. I think Bitcoin maximalism is just like an economic viewpoint. It's like a monetary viewpoint.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It is like, who should be in charge of the money printers? Bitcoin does away with the money printers. No one should be in charge of the money printers. Everyone can print Bitcoin if you start mining, but there will never be more than 21 million Bitcoin, 21 million, that's it. And the way that Bitcoin works is that you can do everything yourself. You can mine yourself. You can hold your own keys. You can run your own node. You should hold your own keys, and you should run your own node. You define what Bitcoin is for yourself, and no one can interfere with this decision. So your hypothetical scenario of the US or the European Union changing Bitcoin so that it is more compliant, this does not exist. If you understand Bitcoin and you use it correctly, you decide what software to run, and you define the consensus parameters. And they cannot change that. And it's very much like, for example, the English language or chess. If you want to play chess, you just play chess with a buddy, and you play by the rules of chess as you know them. And if the EU comes and says, okay, we're going to change the rules of chess, and we're going to make the board size twice as large, and we're introducing 5 new pieces and what have you, It doesn't phase you. You can just play chess as you always played it. And Bitcoin is just like that. It's not round based. It always goes on. And the rules of the game, the consensus parameters, are part of the software and are part of the transactions, are part of the whole system. And so changing it is almost impossible. Like that's what block size wars were about. Like, if you change Bitcoin in a way that it is not backwards compatible, you create a new coin. And that's what happened with Bcash and all the rest of the shit.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. I totally understand that. I guess I'm thinking more of just the regulation that layers on top of the acceptance of it. Like, okay, yeah, sure, you can, Coinbase no longer has to send out, the US magically says, okay, now you do not have to treat Bitcoin as property. Now we're all going to treat it as currency. And it's going to be just like holding dollars in the bank account. But in order to have this treatment on your Coinbase account, or your pick whichever exchange you want, in order to have this feature, you cannot use coin joins. Everything must be vanilla blockchain transactions, and the government can see every single UTXO. Now there's no need now you don't even have the protection of $600 limits on 1099s.
Yeah, but hold on a second. I'm with Gigi on this. That has nothing to do really with the core reason for Bitcoin, which is truly at the source of the money. All this other, it's when you have a perfect money, it's going to be perfect in every way. It's going to be perfect in transparency too. And I don't believe Bitcoin was created to circumvent or deal with in any way the IRS. That's a whole different layer.
Let me bring this back to something that you are very familiar with, namely podcasting. It doesn't matter if the government outlaws RSS. Podcasting still works, like it's you have to differentiate between multiple things here. And again, Bitcoin was born out of the kind of motivation to remove the interference of the state like to separate money and state. This is the main motivation of Bitcoin. Like.
Yeah, but I would say creation. I would say creation of money and policy, not necessarily.
It's about the issuance and control of money.
Yes,
controlling the monetary flows and controlling who is allowed to issue new money.
Yeah,
this is the root of all monetary evil. Like if and you cannot do it in a way like a free market for money does not exist. You are not free to use whatever money you want to use. And this is the whole reason why Bitcoin is built in this very convoluted way. The reason is that no one can interfere with it and no one can shut it down.
Right.
And that is what, and all previous monetary experiments, like cyber money experiments, had a single point of failure and were shut down because the government came, stepped in and shut down the company that is running it and so on. And this is also why Bitcoin maximalists will tell you that every single other coin is a shitcoin because they are all centralized. They all have father figures. They all have teams that tend to this coin. They're all running on like 3 nodes or what have you. Like they have no meaningful centralization. They are not government resistant. Only Bitcoin is government resistant. And this is the whole point.
Yeah. It's interesting too that, and maybe some people may not realize that when you say that it's censorship resistant, one thing that people may not understand about Bitcoin is you can transact Bitcoin just off on a piece of paper with some dice. I mean, like you can just, you can roll a private key, work out a transaction, and then you can make offline. You could potentially. I can
barely get chapters done, Dave. What are you making me do now with pencil?
Like you could literally, create a transaction offline, coordinate with somebody through chat or something else, and say, okay, I'm going to broadcast this transaction to you at this day and this time. Give me a wallet. You roll your own key so that I have a wallet address to send to, and all of this, and then you just broadcast it at that certain time. It's in that way. There's really even no traceability at all there.
Exactly.
So yeah.
And that's what I wanted to mention before. You mentioned Coinbase and so on. Bitcoin on Coinbase is not real Bitcoin. It's just like a paper certificate for your gold.
Yes.
Like the government can step in and take it away and so on. The idea about Bitcoin is that everything is completely decentralized and you can do everything on your own. And creating a Bitcoin account like in big quotes, Bitcoin doesn't have accounts because Bitcoin does not have an authority where you go towards and you register your account and you have to ask for permission to open like a Bitcoin bank account. No, that's not how it works. Bitcoin accounts are created with mathematics, and that's why you can lock yourself in the toilet with like a couple of dice or a coin, and you flip the coin 256 times, and then you have a Bitcoin account.
Hold on. As these kids these days, Dave, I mean, we used to lock ourselves in the bathroom with Playboy magazine, but no, now kids are bringing in dice. Like, oh yeah, Mom, leave me alone.
What are you doing? What are you doing, kid? I was like, I'm rolling a Bitcoin wallet.
Yeah, that's how it works.
Yeah, right.
And the reason why you should do this in the privacy of your home is that if someone sees what you're doing, then you're compromised and they can take away your Bitcoin because your private key is nothing but information. It's just a large number, like again, 256 bits. And you can represent this number in like 12 words or 24 words or just literally as a large number or a bunch of zeros and ones or as a QR code. And if someone has access to these 12 words are effectively your Bitcoin. Like there is no difference. This is...
Yeah. I love that
your
part.
Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And so, and that's also why it's so powerful. And that's also why I'm saying it doesn't matter what the government does. You cannot shut this down because I can, I can generate a random number and I can transform it by hand into 12 words. And you can send me money to these 12 words and I can, just like I know Adam did, like I can remember these 12 words in my brain and I can go to a different country. And this is very, very powerful technology. And that's also why it rubs up against the state or against nation states in general, because it is so powerful and the state does not like
Powerful
the idea
people.
of having sovereign, self-sovereign people that have access to your own money that cannot be deplatformed. And that brings me back to podcasting, you know? Podcasting, it's really easy to do on your own, and hosting MP3 files is very easy, and hosting an RSS feed is very easy. And no one is like, if the EU comes and passes a law that tries to change RSS or make it illegal, you know what? I can still do it, and I can still put up a website and generate an RSS feed and host some MP3s somewhere. I can even do it in a decentralized way somehow, or in a censorship resistant way. I can use torrents. I can use whatever, you know, and I can just do it, and there is nothing you can do about it. And it's the same is true for Bitcoin. And the reason why this works is it has to be, it needs to have a small footprint. It needs to be easy to do. Yes. For Bitcoin, you just need a random number, and you need math, and you need an internet connection or some way to transmit data. That's all it is, you know. And for podcasting as well, you need a microphone, you know, you need something that generates an MP3 or whatever, and you need some way to host the little bit of data that the MP3 or the audio file is. And that's it. And that's where the censorship resistant property comes from, you know, like it's very easy to do. It has a very small footprint, and everyone can do it.
Yeah, in fact, the best way to get some fresh Bitcoin is what I'm doing. I've got an S9 Antminer running, and I get about $100 a month.
There you go.
I put that in its own special wallet. This is my clean Bitcoin.
Yeah, and what you're doing is finding a random number. You're trying to find a random number.
Yeah.
And that's all that this Antminer or whatever machine you have is doing. It's just trying to do it very efficiently. And this, like, as a side effect, protects the whole Bitcoin network and protects the past of all transactions and so on and so forth. But you know, like, that's why I'm advocating for these things and doing so much in the realm of education, because I think trying to find random numbers should not be outlawed, you know? And just like last week or something, the European Union tried to pass a bill where they're outlawing proof of work coins, which is basically saying we are going to outlaw trying to find a random number, you know? And I think this is ridiculous. I don't want to live in such a society.
Can I interrupt you gentlemen for a moment in all this wonderful Bitcoin talk? And because, you know, while you're all talking about the future, I'm living in the now. And I have discovered that I was wrong. It happens. We are receiving tons of Boostagrams from the only app that supports the live protocol at this moment, as far as I know, which is CurioCaster. I mistook the logo of CurioCaster for Breeze for some reason. I blame long COVID, actually. I need to read a couple of these because, Gigi, you have turned out to be a very, very valuable guest for us. And I'm kind of kicking myself right now because, you know, what we do is every guest gets 10% of our value block split. And of course, I usually put that in after the fact. I should have had it in beforehand, because now you're missing out on all this groovy stuff. Anyway, we've done quite well. I just want to share a couple of them. First of all, I see they're coming in. That's Mike Newman, Rush Boost 2112, for the joy of a pew pew live, he says. 32,022 sats from Stephen B. He, of course, is the developer of CurioCaster, who wants me to wish his son Jack a happy 12th birthday. It's on the 20th, so we'll get a jump on that. C. Mike in Kansas City is boosting up a storm, 3513. Still running with scissors and boosting it live, taking 2 boostings during today's PC20 live stream. Happy to help debug things in real time. Dreb Scott, 30,033 stats. I mean, this is incredible. People are just blasting us. They're just spewing sats all over our faces.
There you go. That's how it should be done. And I think, you know, that's also why all of this. And let me also just say, you know, like, just huge shout out to absolutely everyone who is working on this stuff. And of course, you know, thank you, Adam and Dave, for building all this out with the podcast index and so on. But I think, you know, like, that's how it should be done. You should not need gatekeepers that allow you to do certain things, you know. You should just be able to do it. It's about freedom after all. And you, with value for value, and podcasting in particular, you don't need to ask anyone for permission to do this. It's permissionless. It's censorship resistant. That's the whole point. And you can spin up a podcast feed. You can host it yourself. You can spin up a wallet again, you know, like, just lock yourself in the toilet and get a couple of dice, and you're good to go. And you can receive streaming sets right from the gate, and you don't need to create an account somewhere. You don't need to ask for permission anywhere, and no one can deplatform you. And I think this is incredibly important in this day and age.
It's so much bigger than just comments. Wouldn't you agree, Gigi?
Yeah, it is. It is.
50,000 sats from Paytar. Thank you very much, Paytar.
Holy crap! Can we just go ahead and name this episode "In the Toilet with Dice"? I mean, is that? I vote for that as show.
All right, I'm going to change this right now. It's in the toilet. What should it be? Rolling dice in the can? Wouldn't that be better?
Dice in the can. Yeah,
dice in the can. Dice in the can. I'm changing it. Dice in the can.
So but the good thing though, and you actually tweeted this the other day, Gigi, is and by the way, thank you for your help on the value for value spec. A lot of people may not realize that you got in there and did a big proofread of it and changed some stuff, cleaned it up, and added AMP support. You really helped with that, and I'm very appreciative.
And brought us some massive credibility. Thank you, not to be discounted.
Yes, thank you. Are you still doing episode level splits on your podcast?
Yeah, we're doing that actually, and that was the main kind of reason why I jumped on the value spec in the first place, because we wanted to do this, and then we saw that it's not really kind of fleshed out and implemented yet, and so we tried to add this as well, and helped with the implementation in Breeze as well. And I think like the great thing about these open systems, the great thing about these protocols as opposed to platforms, is that every little thing helps, because it will be here forever. Those are open specs. This is open source code. So if you improve it a little bit, it will help millions of people, and it will be here forever. And this is such such a stark contrast to all the walled gardens and closed systems that will just go bankrupt one day and will go away. And this is the big difference. Like if you don't, a protocol does not need to keep itself alive. Usually, like Bitcoin is the exception.
Yeah. Well, you tweeted this the other day about the stellar vision of the monetary gatekeepers in the world there's this thing, I think it was from CNBC or no, it's from The Economist, that said, wow, inflation is here and nobody saw it coming. Like, oh, really? Nobody saw that coming. So I've actually got some clips. There's this is from CNBC. Inflation. They're telling us that this is from roughly like a year ago.
Is this the transitory bit?
No, this is why we don't need to worry about inflation.
To try to boost the economy, policymakers in Washington have pumped trillions of dollars into the financial system in recent months. Economic theory suggests all this money printing could create the risk of inflation. Economist Milton Friedman famously said that if there's too much money in the economy chasing too few goods, prices will rise. When inflation was surging in the 1980s, Fed Chairman Paul Volcker put Friedman's theory to the test, and it worked. Volcker slowed the growth of money going into the economy and raised interest rates to tame inflation. But economists say there's been a break in the link between money creation and inflation in recent years as the banking system has become more complex.
Wow, just as an audio guy, Dave, what the hell? Did they fuck up a line and she had to re-record it in her bathroom?
This was from still in lockdown mode.
Oh,
at the end of 2021.
Right, okay. She was literally in her bathroom. Okay, I got it.
This is like December of 2021 when she was in the can with dice, doing this segment. And but here, so there's been a break.
Yes.
I don't think anybody knew this. There's now all the previous rules about the way inflation works, and I'm going to show you. This is old, outdated 1930s inflationary thinking about what inflation is. Go ahead and play that clip.
As you probably know, the first step in the inflation plan puts $3 billion additional dollars in circulation. This will make money more plentiful, hence less valuable. With money less valuable, the purchasing power of the dollar will naturally drop. Therefore, the cost of living will be forced up. Wages will be increased to meet the higher cost of living so that the three lines will beat as one. And then, kiddies, we'll all have noodles in our soup.
Wait, can we change the title of the show to Noodles in Our Soup?
Yes, please do.
Noodles in Our Soup or Dice in the Can, longest show title ever.
So all this old antiquated thinking of printing money equals inflation. See, that's all broken now.
No, that doesn't work anymore. No, we know much better than that. Yes, modern monetary theory.
Yeah, so we don't need to worry about it. Go ahead and play inflation part 2.
The rise of the financial system and the sort of the diversification of the financial system is one of the reasons why sort of the Milton Friedman view of the world really is not as applicable, particularly in the United States, as it was in an earlier time.
It's important to understand that when the central bank...
It's important to realize who this lady is that was just talking. That is the chief economist for Citibank. I just want people to understand that's what she said. Mm-hmm. That the old Milton Friedman quote unquote model of inflation of just printing more money
is no good.
That's no good. I mean, we need to move on. Yeah, keep going.
It's important to understand that when the central bank prints money today, most of it isn't in the form of physical dollar bills. Instead, the Fed creates electronic money. It uses that electronic cash to buy assets and lend to banks, injecting money into the banking system. To buy treasuries, for example, the Fed uses so-called primary dealers, a group of around 24 big banks and brokerage firms that trade bonds.
What happens when the Fed creates money is it strictly creates central bank money called reserves. Those are held by the banking system. Now, the banks decide, what they're willing to lend out into the economy.
That means that even if the Fed is pumping a lot of money into banks like it is today, the money won't reach the hands of consumers until banks lend it out.
Yeah, this is the magic reserve notes, which are on the other side of the banks. It's beautiful, not inflationary at all, by the way.
No, it's not inflationary because you don't give it to people. You just give it to banks.
Yeah, exactly. For 2 weeks, a couple months, whatever you need, bro.
Ignore the fact that that's actually worse than giving it to people because of the multiplicative effect of fractional reserve banking. Mm-hmm. Don't worry about that. But these are the problems that not just Bitcoin but the Bitcoin ethos is trying to solve, is this sort of idiocy right here that is constant. Like these are the smartest people in the room, so to speak, and they constantly miss going back to Alan Greenspan, not seeing the housing bubble and the .com bubble coming 6 months previous to it. I mean, these people get it wrong every single time.
But here's the thing, and I've said that here's what I've always seen. And I know many, many people in banking, but I have one friend who left specifically for his kids, moved to Texas. And even politicians, when it comes time to raise the debt limit, it's always a political football in the United States. Yeah. But what's interesting is none of them believe we won't. Of course, we're going to raise the debt limit because we back the full. The dollar has the full backing of the United States. It's logical to them. It's like the sun rises. That's how we know that we will raise the debt limit, which allows for more creation of more money. Similarly, people in the financial system who work in it, they look at you like they don't even understand where you're coming from, that you don't know how it works. This is seriously, they'd be like, don't you understand how, the money gets made there and it comes through and then, there's more every year. Don't you get that? And there's no cognition about what that should mean because it's been going on for so long. It's just baked into the system. So it's not that they don't get it. They literally don't know it.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's kind of the whole point of the whole system is to make it so complicated that even those on the inside don't understand anymore what's going on. So the public, of course, cannot figure out how the current system works, and everyone just trusts it. And as you say, it has worked for a long time, and so there is no reason to believe that it will not continue to work. But we should not make no mistake, the insanity, the full-blown insanity of the system started in 1971 when we completely removed the coupling to gold.
And here's what's crazy, Gigi. We are in a fractal right now. 70s, we had oil crisis, we had energy crisis. Of course, it was all a part of how we changed everything. We're at the same spot here. We're about to change the money system. We have a war going on. Back then, it was Vietnam. We have supply chain. We're living through this fractal, and they are going to do their CBDC or whatever the hell they're going to do, their revaluation. I've heard all kinds of things, and I'm sure you're well aware of the XRP will be the token of the future. With the quantum financial system, it's off world. I mean, I've read it all. I've seen it all. To me, the only danger the fiat system faces right now is not from Bitcoin. The danger the fiat system faces is stablecoin. That is literally, by definition of what they are, inflationary.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what you're saying. I think that the danger of the fiat system is that it implodes too quickly, and I think that's why. And
it always goes with fighting and bombs and killing people.
Yeah. I think, like to kind of come back to the insanity of money creation is like, if you have a possibility to create money, you only need like an emergency, and then you will use the money printer, like just imagine this thought experiment. Let's say you have a valid money printer in the cellar and you promise not to use it. And then something terrible happens in your family, and I don't know, your child has a terrible disease and you suddenly need $500,000. Of course you're going to use it, and that's what happens over and over and over again every time this experiment is being tried. And if you just look at history, we have tried this experiment of fiat money, of just creating money out of thin air multiple times over, and it's responsible in part for the fall of empires. Once you decouple money, base money from reality, so that you can just make it up for any reason whatsoever, then things go really bad really quickly, because money is a very, very important tool. It's not only a tool, it's like a psychotechnology, like it's like language, it's like speech, it's like numeracy. And it's also, we're in a war right now of networks, social networks, electricity networks, energy networks, computer networks, but also financial networks. And when you change something in a network, I just know enough about network effects. When you change something in a network, like removing an entire country from it, it's central banks, selected banks. When you remove, I heard Todd from Blueberry saying, "Shit, man, we got Russian podcasters who can't pay their bill." Yeah, and now all of a sudden he doesn't hate Russia that much. It's like, I'm trying to figure out how to help these guys. I'm like, how about some Bitcoin? Why don't you take that? But I think that, and by the way, I've not heard anywhere, when Putin calms down, or let's say even if Putin gets kicked out, they elect a new leader, we'll bring Russia back onto SWIFT. I haven't heard that noise, and I don't think they plan on doing it. So these are big ass changes, and to say they're dumb, they didn't think it through, I think they certainly did, because what it comes down to, you said it, emergency. We got a climate emergency. $700 billion of this $1.5 trillion a lot of it was climate emergency related. So on one hand, we're debasing the dollar by printing more. On the other hand, we're using the printed money to remove the petrodollar status. It's an obvious attack on the dollar.
Well, I want to bring this back. I think, Gigi, you brought up a point. I think there's a philosophical point to be made here. You brought this idea up, and I think this relates to about having the money printer in the basement. And I think this relates back to all this stuff is tied together. It naturally is in my mind, that this is also the reason why you don't, why you have to be extremely careful, and I would say really never embark on the path of censorship, is because it's this idea of I've kind of been thinking about this idea of, like, if having a thing behooves the use of that thing. So there's something about having something available to you to use that makes it inevitable that you're going to use it. So like you gave a thought experiment a while ago. I'll give you another one. Imagine a world where every household in the entire world globally has a locking mechanism on it that's centrally connected to some like the UN or the WHO. And you can say, okay, we're never actually going to use this thing, but we do have it. We just want to have it. And so, but trust us, we're never actually going to use it. Well, the moment that you have a thing like that, where at the push of a button, you can lock everyone in their homes instantaneously, of course you're going to use it. Things are going to happen, pandemics, all these kinds of things, and you can be very sure that that thing is going to be used. And it's the same thing with censorship. Once you empower global technology companies to have the power to remove and censor, once you've given them that technology, of course they're going to use it, and they're going to start using it constantly for all kinds of stuff that you don't want.
It's an emergency.
100%. 100%. And that was also one of the main points of a long piece I wrote on value for value. And the main point was that free speech platforms cannot exist. If you have the ability to censor or filter or monitor or deplatform people, this will be used. There will be an emergency found. There will be speech found that is extreme.
Well, it's all over. It's already all. It's all over the place. It's happening everywhere. Yeah,
of course. And that's why free speech protocols are so important. And that's also why free speech money as a protocol is so important. And that is, of course, why Bitcoin is so important. And in the end, it always comes back to very philosophical questions of power and control and those kind of things. And for example, the question around free speech is basically who should be allowed to speak and about what? And our collective answer in the West was everyone should be allowed to speak. The logos is sacred and there's nothing off limits, you should be allowed to discuss everything, because we learned the hard way that there's two ways to resolve conflict. It's either through speech or through violence. And speech is preferable to violence.
I prefer to be grumpy. That just seems better. If I'm grumpy, it works.
In ethics, there's this notion of ought implies can. So if you're going to hold somebody morally responsible and say that they ought to do something, then it's inherent in that idea that they have the ability to do that thing. If you're going to say you should do it, you just presuppose that they have the ability to do it. And I think you can reverse that in this scenario and say there's also the idea of can compels ought.
Yeah.
If you can do something, you're going to do it,
Yeah, exactly. And that's also why I think that Bitcoin is a technical answer to a moral and philosophical problem, because the question is who should be allowed to issue and control the money. And the current answer in fiat money is governments and banks and so on and so forth, and they have the ability to deplatform. They have the ability to print money, which is will money into existence, which dilutes everyone else's money, which basically enriches them without just because, they don't, that's what's so outrageous about this, a normal person has to work his whole life or her whole life to make $1 million, and it's very, very hard. And there is a separate part of the population that can just print a button and they have $1 million, it's very unjust. And it is a question about morality.
For this very reason that this rule exists, that if people have it, they will use it, that I am even more convinced now that the UFOs have blocked the launch of nuclear weapons. They're not going to fire. I'm not worried about nuclear war. I haven't been. Ever since I heard about the UFOs disabling them, I'm like, someone would have pushed the button by now. No, you're not getting a theremin from me today.
But just to maybe finish this thought about answering the question of who should be allowed to issue and control the money. With gold, and that's what you rightly pointed out, that, all the hard money folks, they want to solve this problem and they're all in the same boat, so to speak. And I kind of agree with that, And with gold, it was okay, let's say, quote unquote, God created gold and distributed it all across the earth, and everyone who is willing to dig for it, gets the gold. So this is gold mining, of course. And who can control the flow of gold? Because it is decentralized in gold coins, and of course, they're stamped, blah, blah, blah. We can't get into deep philosophical debates about that, but still, I can hand you a gold coin and there's nothing anyone can do about it. That's the whole idea. That's where there's, again, because it is distributed, that's why it's censorship resistant. That's why cash is that's why cash is so important for society. And that's also why, in general, the powers that be want to get rid of cash. And the Bitcoin answer, which is again a technical answer to like a question of philosophy and morality, the Bitcoin answer to who should be allowed to issue and control the money is basically everyone should be allowed to have access to the money, and no one is allowed to print money. Like 21 million Bitcoins exist. You cannot make more. It's just they are basically hidden in mathematical space, and all that miners do is dig out those 21 million Bitcoins, and it is fixed in time. That's why the issuance of Bitcoin is known. You can think of it as like a substance that the harder you try to find it, the harder it will be to find. This is the difficulty adjustment of Bitcoin. Yes, so the harder you dig into the ground, the more scarce it gets.
Dave and I have agreed we are retiring at block height 1 million.
There you go. That's how you do it.
Yeah. Bitcoin is the true time. Speaking of cash, Dave, shall we thank some people? I'm a little cognizant of your time today. You have to. Oh yeah, sure. Get back.
You want to stick around and hear some Boostagrams, Gigi?
Always.
Shall I start off with what's come in live here? A couple more things, Dave.
Sure.
Because we got to figure out how to do this now. This is a great way to raise funds for the project. I'll tell you that. 3333 from Cotton Gin. I'm boosting while getting a haircut. The stylist is bewildered. It's great. Then we got a whole slew of 100 sat boosts, unknown from who, but also a 10K boost from Tim K over there to LNP, who of course is powering a lot of what we're doing.
Oh, boost 10K baby holler from Tim K. I love it. That's a good one.
Yeah. No, because I sent out the bat signal. I said, man, people are boosting, but that's not coming through. It's only coming through from Breeze. And of course, I'm an idiot. It was coming through from CurioCaster all the time. Cold Acid gets a tip of the hat for 3333 for his command line Boostagram. Pew, pew, pew. Let me see. Who else did I get here? Brian of London, 1948. By far the hardest part of my relearning to code has been my experience setting up dev environments, but once you get it working, it's great. So yes. And 5,000 from C Mike, running with scissors, doing it live while boosting. Yes, indeed. And I think those are the other ones I read too. Those are most that came in during the live show. Thank you all very much, because that does make a difference.
Do y'all read boosts on your show, Gigi?
We experimented with a bunch of things that we want to do, and we're still trying to figure it out. We actually championed the idea of boosts as comments, because we built a little script that farms the Boostagrams, so to speak.
Well, again, there's users. You can't fight the users. And I won't fight users ever. No.
Yeah. So we showed them on the podcast site as like a comment feed that's very similar to comments below a YouTube clip or what have you. But I think everyone is still in the process of trying to figure out how to use this best and what Boostagrams are and so on.
Yeah, there's a real feature discovery thing going on.
I want a Boostagram clock, just kind of like the block clock. I want something I can just put in my house, and I just see the Boostagram through. Well, no, it's pew pew.
It adds all the sats up and only goes up.
Yeah, that's all you hear all day long. Pew pew. Yeah.
We got one weekly PayPal. That was $6.66 from who is this from? That is from Greg Kovalik, and the note is for $6.66. The note is, "Don't be a dick." Okay.
All right. Agree. Yeah. Thank you. Oh, yeah, we agree with that. That's a good message.
Not Google's motto, but that's okay. So that was the only PayPal. We got a bunch of boosts, though.
Look at our transition, though. We're transitioning from PayPal, from the fiat money system to Lightning.
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
Fingers crossed the entire time that Lightning doesn't collapse.
There's that. There's that.
Yeah, it's running with scissors. 3333 from Chad F. He says, "I see the live." So I guess that was from
that must have come through. Yeah.
Yeah, and let's see, 2222, a row of ducks from Stephen B. He says, "Live boost." Servo, I guess he sounds like a no agenda guy. SIRVO through CurioCaster. He says, "ITM."
Yeah, and he is not just a no agenda guy. He also has a node with a channel, because I was just looking at them all today.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Boost. Thank you.
We got two 333s from Sir Spencer. Whoa. He says, welcome to Live, Podcasting 2.0 Boardroom. Congrats to Stephen B. for enabling liveItem in CurioCaster. Hey, other podcast apps, do you need to catch up in the liveItem support. Let's go! Let's see, we got this is anonymous. No, this is from Darren O'Neill. Okay. 10,034 sats through Breeze.
Nice.
He says one more than CSB. Thank you for your courage.
Boost.
Throwing CSB under the bus, I see. Martin from Podfriend, he says, boosting live, historic times indeed. I spread myself too thin on house, job, and various Podfriend tasks, but I hope to have live and comments ready for next week's episode.
Oh, you know the crazy Dane will show up and have it all done and slick looking as usual.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And in the background, his floors will be nice and waxed. It'll be wonderful.
And while he's cooking dinner for his wife.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Chad F. again with a boost, 5,000 sats, and he just says, boost!
Yo, thank you.
Boost! Dreb Scott, 10,000 sats through CurioCaster, and he says, go podcasting.
Yo.
Go podcasting!
Thank you, Dreb. Let's see. Anonymous, okay. I don't know who this is, and I'm wondering if it may be Roy. It's through Breeze, 1,948 sats. He says, doing it live, Shabbat Shalom from Israel.
Maybe. What's the number? What's the numerology on it?
1948.
Oh, no, that's Brian of London. Yeah. See, I recognize people by their boost amounts now.
Yeah. Do y'all get a lot of numerology boosts on Closing the Loop?
Yeah, definitely. We got some of those as well. I think, in Bitcoin land, there's a lot of like 21 sets and multiples of 21 and 20.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah. And some 420s. You wait until April rolls around.
Boobery sent us a boob donation, 8008, and he says, happy live day. When we get the node for behind the schemes up and running again, it's our intention to make a split to the index. Very legal. Badradio.live is a place one could head for pulp, punk, science-y conspiracy hypothesizing. Ooh,
sounds like a show for me. I like it.
Yeah. That is very Satan-y. Okay.
But very cool that you're putting us in your split. And we have our lightning node in the show notes if anyone else wants to add an extra split from your podcast for the index, for the whole project. It'd be appreciated. Mm-hmm.
Servo again with 333 and says hello from the Boost CLI. A lot of love for the Boost command line.
It is kind of fun to do that. I've experimented a bit with it. It's kind of cool
and quite scriptable too.
Yes.
You could end up with a Brian of London style
cron job
machine.
Hey, put a cron job in.
Yes. Okay, that's it. That's the new marketing thing is put us in your cron job. Okay. Stephen B, 5,000 sats says it's nice listening live. Hope your sats don't slow down.
No, it's been great. This thing is flying, man. I can't believe it. We've had how many lives have we had? We must have 50 different live Boostagrams.
Goodness gracious!
Yeah.
That's me. That's a test boost. What am I doing boosting myself?
It's illegal. Right. Stop it.
Mike Newman.
Get your dice and go into the bathroom when you need to boost yourself, okay?
And take your noodles with you. Mike Newman, 21-112 Super Rush boost through CurioCaster. He says, boosting the live, go podcasting.
Boost.
Go podcasting!
These are from last week's live.
I believe so, yeah. I believe so.
First time doing it live from Chad Farrow, 101 sats. Thank you, Chad. 50. Oh, this is from Roy. 54th. That's 54321. 54,321 sats through Breeze.
Wow, how about that?
Thank you, Roy.
Boost. Thank you, brother.
Coming in a big way. Me and Roy had a.
Hey, is that a baller? Is he baller with that? I don't know.
I'm looking through the list here. He may be the baller boost.
Baller, shot caller, 20-inch blades on the Impala.
He's not the baller boost. We're going to give it to him anyway, though, because that's a big one.
The NA millennial in the chat room says he or she got their first cron job at 16. Telling you, the comedy writes itself when you do this live. It's great.
At the prom, Cass Phelan. Cass Peelan, 3,300 sats through Fountain. He says, thanks for all the work. Well, you're welcome, Cass. 8675 from a very long username that's undecipherable through Fountain. He says, boosting to balance my channels. Oh, Cameron
Please
at
feel
IPF.
free to do that as much as you want. Cameron from where?
This is Cameron at IPFSpodcasting.net. This is a great utility. This is a channel balance utility.
Yes, balance your channel by boosting us.
Boost! Yeah.
It's a balance boost. Come on, people.
Gigi, our show is basically a loop out.
Yeah.
We are submarine swap.
Submarine swap, yes. Let's see. That's from me again. 500 sats from Dale through Castamatic. He says, your point about creators at about 78 minutes, Adam.
Yeah.
I switched to a value supporting app when I learned on Linux Unplugged that I could use it to compensate Jupiter Broadcasting podcasts at a level of my choosing. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. Chris Fisher over at Jupiter, all those shows, Linux Unplugged and Coda Radio, and he's been extremely supportive. I could have pulled, 6 or 7 clips over the last 2 weeks of they're full on with value for value. They're doing boostagrams, reading them on the show, and
they get it. They
really
it.
do.
They get it.
Anonymous through Castamatic, 2,000 sats, and it says, any reverse value system would most likely get abused to make a quick buck. And that's possible. Yeah. True. Layman Creations, that's Andy Layman, our buddy. 1132 sats through Castamatic. He says, keeping software updated to date is a pain in the butt. Yes, it is, Andy. As software updates are always a pain.
Yeah. That's why I love the web apps.
Yeah.
Update it in the background for me. I'll just use it.
PWAs.
Mm-hmm.
Cotton Gin, 508 sats. And he just says live. All right.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Cotton Gin. Oh, here's a row of 7s from Soaring Satoshis. Oh, I like that name. Through Breeze, and he says, boost!
Yo.
Boost!
How you doing, Booster?
Row of ducks. Oh, that's for you. You're doing channel testing, Adam, with a row of ducks. At
least I'm not boosting myself. Well, I am boosting myself, I guess. I'm trying to clear out my pipes.
Clear out your pipes.
Yeah. It can only go downhill from here.
Dice is good for that. Nomad Joe, 2,000 sats through Fountain, and he says, greetings from the road. Well, greetings, Nomad Joe. Another boostergram from Adam. I'm going through these in real time here because I didn't have time to print them. Another Darren O'Neill boost. Oh, this time, this is a big one. 33,333 through Breeze. And he says, I do have sats from Random Thoughts, Unrelenting, and Planet Rage. This is your VIG.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, that was from the last show.
Oh, okay. He gave us the VIG. Let's see. That is another one from Roy. It's 1,234 sats. He says, hi, Dave. Don't forget to respond to my Telegram message.
I love it when people pay us to come to the phone.
He says, if boosting is what it takes to get you to reply, I'm game.
Don't just stand there. Boost!
All right. You don't want to encourage that with me because that may become a thing. Oscar Mary through Fountain. He says, first time, but not the last. 101 sats.
Thank you.
Chad Farrow, 3333 through CurioCaster. He says, I hear you loud and clear. Oh, that's probably just tuning into the live stream. A lot of testing here. Here's some Unicode string that is indecipherable. That's always great.
Yeah.
Mere Mortals podcast, Kyron. He says, I was screaming at my screen the entire time. YouTube has comments. Can whoever is creating the shirts have a picture of Adam and Dave running with scissors and the words Podcasting 2.0, the YouTube killer on mine, please and thank you. Is it done yet?
Yeah. Is it done yet?
That's a row of ducks, 2222.
Oh, yeah. We'll hit a row of ducks there.
Yeah. John's BRT, 49,000 sats.
Oof,
through
nice.
Fountain, and he says we're gonna make it. Pew pew. I don't know what we're gonna make it.
Don't worry.
Thanks.
As long as we make
Johns.
it, doesn't matter what, we're gonna make it.
Yeah, it sounds like a song from the hair band song.
It's all right. Think we're gonna make it.
Oscar Mary, 10 sats. Oh.
Hold on a second.
That's a dreary boost.
Yeah.
Boost.
Yeah, that's come on, Oscar. Up
Really,
your game,
really,
brother.
bro.
SCOTT gave us 10,420 sats, and he says,
Nice.
just a quick boost. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, and I'm going.
Boost.
See you later. Here's the baller boost from Sir Bill through Fountain. 300,000 sats.
Whoa.
Baller.
There it is.
Shot caller, 20-inch blades on the Impala.
Boost.
Nice. Holy crap. I remember seeing this on the reflected in a channel somewhere.
Oh, yeah. You see the channel swing.
Yeah.
The abacus dumps from one side to the other. Love the show and keep up the good work. That's all he said.
Thank you,
Sir
man.
Bill.
Thank you so much. That's really
Yeah,
appreciated.
Sir, you know what, Sir Bill, we need proof of identity here because it's possible that Dreb Scott is just impersonating.
Yeah,
himself
right.
as
We have
another
no
user.
idea. We think it's all Dreb Scott. We think in podcasting 2.0 is successful, and it's just Dreb.
Yes,
He's the only guy, right?
Yeah,
it's just
all
Dreb
Bruce Wayne.
Scott. Yeah,
You'll never know. That's the beauty of it.
that is. Yeah, it's true.
Another anonymous, 2,000 sats through Castomatic, and he says, "Oh, that's a repeat. That's another one." Satoshi Stream, 5552,
Thank you.
through Fountain, and he says, "More stats. The average boost to Satoshi Stream podcast is 1557 sats. The average streaming payment is 36 sats." That makes sense.
Yeah.
My streaming is set to 40 sats. What are you at?
I'm at 100.
What are you at, Gigi?
Wow, I think I'm at 21. Yeah, so I'm below average, and you're both above average, but I'm not surprised about that.
You're below average. You're a below average streamer.
You know what? He didn't play with the dice long enough as a kid. That's the problem.
That's probably it.
Yeah. That's the problem. You're doing it all on a piece of paper. You need to actually do it in the app. That's more helpful.
Please, Gigi, get with it. It does help a little bit with the app. Yes. What do you use? Which app do you use, Gigi?
I'm on Breeze.
You're on Breeze.
I really like Breeze. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dave Jackson sent us 5150 sats. Oh, that's a Van
Yeah,
Halen
we know
boost.
what's up with that.
Dynamic content hoarded. Wait. Dynamic content horked my old school chapters I made in Hindenburg. Podcasting 2.0 to the rescue. Go podcasting!
Yay.
Go podcasting! Boost.
The Bootstrap Bandit Tim K through Fountain, he sent 101 sats. Says wild. Okay. All right, man.
Nice.
You did that.
Shout out to Bootstrap Bandit. He built a lot of cool stuff in the Bitcoin ecosystem.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Well, right now a lot of us is running on him.
Yeah, Tim K's incredible.
It's very
me
important.
And we'll talk about it next week. We came up with some good ideas, I think. So I had a call with him and Oscar on Wednesday. I think we hashed out some pretty cool stuff. Super Nerd Media gave us 12,345 sats, and he says, "On behalf of my podcasting partner and Barnhard, thank you for everything y'all are doing to preserve and protect podcasting going forward. We cordially invite you to check out the Barnhard podcast, a show which mainly focuses on issues regarding the Catholic Church today." Oh, that sounds interesting. I might listen to that. With particular emphasis on the question, which of the two bishops in white is actually the current pope? The answer may surprise you. Go podcasting.
Go podcasting!
That sounds like my kind of show. I like that.
I love that. I love about the Pope stuff, and you read Vigano. What's the ex-bishop, I think, or cardinal, whatever he is. It's just it's a mess, man. It's fun. It's almost like a true crime podcast.
Well, you did. I mean, you essentially chose the current pope. So I mean,
Oh yeah, I called him right away. I said that guy. Yeah, I did.
Sir Doug, 4,400 sats through Fountain. He says, "I'm not a developer and I'm not a podcaster, just a passionate listener that really appreciates what you guys are doing." Well, thank you, Sir Doug.
Nice.
That's a nice
Yeah,
note.
that's very nice.
And the Delimiter,
Yeah.
Strip Blogger,
Here he is, everybody.
10,033 sats, which is one less than Darren O'Neill. I might point out.
Yeah, I have to point that out.
Yes. Hiya, Dave and Adam. Let the Russian invaders be damned. And your listeners are warmly invited to listen to a podcast named AI.Cooking, spoken by Gregory William Forsyth Foreman from Kent. Latest episode 26, apart from news about artificial intelligence, covers ML, ops, kind of DevOps, but for machine learning. Yo!
Yo to you, comic strip blogger. Hey, he's gotten creative. He's changed the message a bit. I appreciate that. Two more
He took it out of the cron job, and he's doing it by hand now.
Thank you, Cotton Gin, for your 22,222 live Boostagram. He says, go podcasting.
Go podcasting!
That just came in.
Oh, okay. We got some monthlies too. Sir Alex Gates, the Podcasting 2.0 consultant, gave us $25. Brian of London, $10 of Hive. That's an automatic thing that I always keep forgetting.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Jeffrey Rutherford, $5. Chris Cowan, $5. Jeremy Kavanaugh, $10. Damon Kasajak, $15. Soren Mueller, $10. David Norman, $25. Derek J. Visker, $21. Great name. Paul Saltzman, $22.22. And Paul sent me a message, and I'm pretty sure this is the one you're talking about. If you send a different one and I didn't get that one, let me know, Paul, and I'll read it out. I may have missed it. Jeremy Gerrards, $5. Timothy Hudgens, my buddy, $25. David Woodfine, $3. Lauren Ball, $24.20. Survive on the Survivavash, $5. Wessel Trost, $1. And Thomas Sullivan Jr., $5.
This is highly appreciated. Especially, it always really gets me when I see how many people who are already delivering their time and talent to the project, then add some treasure in. That is so appreciated. The entire project, everything is financed through the support, and that is coming from you. It's the only way this project will work. As you can tell, we can speak freely. We have no one that can lock us down or turn us off because they don't agree with something. It's just what a great group, an unbelievable group of people working on this. You can support us by going to podcastindex.org. That's where we still accept your fiat fund coupons, especially those monthlies are very appreciated. Put us in your cron tab, everybody. That would be great. Appreciate that. Put us in the cron tab. With the command line boost. Just came in a balance boost.
Oh, no.
250,000 sats from Alex Gates, giving myself some inbound liquidity, he says.
You balancing the channel, Alex. Awesome. You do too much, brother. You do too much.
What if it turns out that this is the real purpose of the comment system?
The balance channels.
Be quiet. Insta balancing. Hey, balance of Satoshis, get the hell out of here. Who needs you? We don't need Thunder Hub. We just need Boostagrams. That's how we balance. Thank you very much, Alex. That's way above and beyond, brother. So that's what I'm talking about. And if you're a listener, if you agree with what we're doing here, which how could you not? We've made podcasting better. We've protected it. We're enhancing it. We're extending it. Support the project as well. Everything helps. And of course, all the Satoshis go into liquidity for all of the nodes. We have 132 channels today that are active. And we're proud of it. We're not doing it the way everyone else does, but it does seem to be working. Again, appreciate it. Get a modern podcast app at newpodcastapps.com. You can participate in the live chat, in the live Boostagrams, or just enjoy all of the new features Podcasting 2.0 has to offer. Thank you so much for supporting episode 78.
Yeah, and it's really cool because you can tell exactly where the stuff is going. Because like somebody sent us $6 donation this month, this week from PayPal. That seems like it's not very much, but I spun up a new Linode VM to test the new aggregator stuff, and it's a $5 VM, and that totally covered it. Also, we got a 300,000 sat boost today. And we literally opened a 300,000 sat channel to a new podcaster this morning.
That's right. Isn't that beautiful how that works? I love that. Because Dave and I are like, Dave will check with me because I manage the node. Kind of, for good or for bad. And he's like, hey, can you open a channel? So, I'm going to do 300 because it's for Jupiter, right?
Yeah, it's for one of their new shows, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm expecting these guys will need some good liquidity. So let's do 300K. I have to look. We have 1.8 left on chain. There's one or two I can prune. But to have this come in right at this moment it's perfect. It means the world to us. Means the world to us.
Yeah.
Gigi, I know you probably weren't expecting to talk about the things that we brought up today, but we really appreciate you diving in with us. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about that we can still do in our time remaining with you?
Yeah, sorry for throwing you a curveball if I did.
No worries. I think all of those things are terribly important. And in the end, I think what everyone should realize is that it all boils down to one thing, and that is censorship resistance. It's about doing it your own way without asking for permission. And that's also, I think, why Bitcoin is so important, because it is truly censorship resistant money. And understanding all that, like why it is censorship resistant and so on, we went into, like, we dug into it a little bit. It is rather difficult, but in the end, it comes down to it for Bitcoin that you have to pay to use it also, like you have to bribe the miners. And I think we all know this in the podcasting world as well. Like if you really want to be censorship resistant, you have to host your own files, for example, and you kind of have to pay for that as well. So, like the other side of the coin of freedom is like you have to take responsibility, and you have to understand these things, and you have to understand these systems, and you have to run your own stuff, and you have to kind of decide for yourself which infrastructure is at risk of being deplatformed, and what you want to do to be really uncancelable and have the freedom of those new like technologies that enable you to speak freely and to exchange value freely. And that's why I'm also so bullish on the value for value model, because it truly is like a direct monetization model that moves away from advertisements, that moves away from self-censorship, that moves away from being locked in a beautiful walled garden, that is YouTube and Spotify and all the rest of it. And so I'm super bullish on these free and open platforms.
Gigi, you've written about value for value before. Would you be willing to take a stab with me on writing this up for the website?
Yeah, of course. All my stuff is freely available online. If someone wants to read it, it's called The Freedom of Value on their Gigi.com. And I release all my stuff as a free and open, in a free and open licensing model. So feel free to rip it apart, remix it, put it somewhere else, and so on. And I'm of course happy to work with you to put it somewhere.
Yeah, I'd like
where
to.
It's more accessible.
Yeah, I'd like to run some stuff by you just so we have it all. I mean, I understand it because I've been doing value for so long, but
yeah,
I'm not the best writer. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, no, happy to do that.
Okay,
and
great.
Also shout out to all the other people that are currently exploring this. I think value for value, thanks to podcasting 2.0, got a big boost, like the no pun intended, but a lot of people woke up to the idea, and also of course like the legacy system with all the deplatforming helps as well, like as the clownishness of the world increases.
It really does.
And the new alternatives.
And if I had a kid, my daughter's 31, my stepdaughters are in their mid to late 20s, so it's a little late for them. But if I had a kid now, man, I'd like, here's an old laptop, here's a Linux distro, set that up first, and then I'm going to show you how, then we'll set up an Umbrel, then we'll understand how email works, and then we're going to get your node running, and then we're going to just, it's like, the education is all messed up. We're giving kids iPhones and iPads in the stroller, and they just expect shit to work and have no idea what's going on in the background and the power they actually have of doing things themselves.
Mm. Yeah, I think, I really like the saying of like, there's two ways on how you can learn this stuff. It's either through curiosity or through pain. And I think the pain will increase, more and more people will get deplatformed and will have to learn to find another way. And those who are curious enough to kind of be ahead of the curve, they will benefit from being set up and knowing how all this works, and also being familiar with things like Bitcoin. And it will be increasingly important to know how to set yourself up to function in a modern context without being deplatformed, and so that you can have your wealth intact and all the rest of it. And again, I want to kind of applaud everyone who is working on that, not only in the podcasting space, but value for value is currently also being explored in the written medium,
yes.
like Albi from the LB browser extension. The people behind that are doing great work on trying to incorporating Lightning payments and Lightning addresses in open standards where you can just include it into your blog or whatever you have as metadata, or also even on YouTube pages and so on. And it will, like, the extension will parse it out, and just like a value for value podcasting app, if you have some Satoshis loaded up, then just by clicking one button, you will be able to push a boost, so to speak, to the author of the article and so on. And
as long as everyone keeps
super cool.
As long as everyone keeps using confetti, I'm fine. That's all I care about.
It's the most critical piece of the entire system.
We've got to have the confetti.
That's the
in
requirement.
there.
Yeah, transmute Satoshis into confettis. That's what we do.
Thanks again, Gigi. Really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you,
Dave.
Yep.
Final words.
Well, Stephen B. My final words are Stephen B. just said in the chat that he's working on putting Gigi's audiobook for 21 lessons as a podcast feed.
That's cool.
Oh, nice. Man. Oh, I love it. All right, everybody. Hey, you know what? Great board meeting. This was good. I loved it. Thank you very much, everybody in the chat room. Thank you, everybody who was boosting us live. Thank you all for supporting Podcasting 2.0. We'll be back next week with another meeting of the board of directors right here on Podcasting 2.0.
Listening to Podcasting 2.0. Visit podcastindex.org for more information.
Podcasts are cool. Go podcasting!